once again talking about hunting. You might know France and Italy hardly has any woods, forests like you will see from now on in the Bohemian hills. Therefore, in those two countries there are travel agencies that specialize with hunting trips into this area. So in autumn you will hear a lot of French and Italians establish factories, business. KMP, for instance, is a German company making jets for printers, computer printers and so on. So Aptar over here employs on average 200 people, a small little village, and on driving through during our drive you will realize, you will see that the condition of the houses in this little village are much better than what we have seen so far, due to the fact that they found employment in these so-called Western companies that moved into here right after the fall of the Iron Curtain. Here you see the sign, Aptar. Gdynia is the name of the town here. Aptar, the name of the American company. Going down that way, you will get to the plant of Aptar.
You outside.
It's a nice little town.
Servus. Am Montag, Oberzei. Erlau Gymnasium, ja. Genau, ja. Aha, genau. Aha. Nein, habe ich nichts gesehen. Habe ich nichts gesehen. This is gereinigt worden.
When you look on the right-hand side, you see all these one-family homes.
Auto ist gereinigt worden.
Much better condition than what we have seen so far.
Da ist definitiv nichts da gewesen. Nach der Fahrt haben wir es gereinigt.
And what's the name of the town?
Nach der Schulfahrt.
I speak with the Slavic accent on top, therefore it's not pronounced like a C, but she. C-K-N-Y-E, Szkynie, Szkynie, C-K-Y-N-E.
Sorry.
Oh, that is very nice. I like that fence.
So we are really starting to climb now. I, of course, will let you know once we get to the highest point. And from there down it goes towards Passau then. So our estimated time of arrival, Karl-Heinz, what's the... shortly before 5 o'clock, sort of has been revised. We lost time at that little bottleneck there near the mining tower, so round about 5, shortly before 5, depending on traffic that we encounter from now on.
Good luck, Carl.
Thank you. That's what I agree on.
Bei mir in Schulden Geldbeil und einen Schlüssel verloren.
Das sagen Sie immer.
Ja, und der war's da noch davon. So, ich hab nichts gesehen, weil ich bin ja noch gleich zum Reinigen gefahren und die haben da nichts gesehen. Das ist immer, ich weiß nicht, das ist jetzt 2 Tage schon wieder her.
Yeah, it was a good break. It was neat too.
On the boat.
Musst du den Geldbeil und den Schlüssel raus und legen am Bus wieder. Den habe ich auch in der Schultasche oder was. Also,
Jede Farbe bleibt irgendwas liegen.
ja, ja.
Das ist die Gedanken nicht beisammen und gerade die Schulkinder.
Ja, ich weiß nicht, dass die so vergesslich sind.
Ja, weil es alles Mögliche ist.
Ja,
Die sind nicht zu stark abgelenkt.
So stark ablenken, gell?
A little water feature.
Alle sitzen so und drücken auf ihren Handy
Water
und
Ja, ja,
features.
ja, das ist wichtig.
That doesn't look so healthy. But so many books that been lives in. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a little park here.
the upcoming town that we'll pass through, nowadays in the Czech language known under the name Vimperk. V as in Victor, I-M-P-E-R-K. Up till 1945, when this whole area was populated by ethnic Germans, until 1945, they used to have in Vimperk, now under the name Vimperk, but until 1945 the name was Winterberg, a German name translated into English meaning winter mountain. Tells you lots of snow in this area here. And in Vimperk they used to have until 1945 8 printing plants, and they printed in 20 different languages, exporting all over the world. They were very, very famous for their elaborate editions of the Bible and the Quran. There was one famous printer, his name was Steinbrenner, with one N, not with two N's. Steinbrenner. Really known in printing all over the world. But with the end of the Second World War in 1945, 3 million ethnic Germans that had lived here in this area for centuries had to leave overnight, of course, due to the fact what had happened during the 12 years of Nazi times. So they were chased out overnight. They had to leave everything behind. Into the empty properties were forcibly relocated ethnic ethnic Slovaks and ethnic Czechs. They had to move into this area. So 3 million of them left here overnight. Whatever they could put into a suitcase they took along, and most of them settled in Bavaria, the one state of the 16 German states that is closest, bordering onto this area. The famous Herr Steinbrenner, he moved into Austria, into a small, beautiful town near Passau. It's about 20 kilometers away from Passau. The name of that town is Scherding. He relocated and started all over again in that town. Nowadays, he's mostly in book binding, not in printing. Now, when I said elaborate prints of the Bible and the Quran, explanation, the covers were either in velvet or in leather, studded with precious gems like mother of pearl or with ivory. The edges were always gilded edges, not only simple gilded edges, but in the gilded edges were patterns. In this town here, Vimperk, that we are passing through right now, is a little castle. In that castle is one room. In that room they show a few editions of the miniature Bibles and Qurans that were printed in this town. They always came with magnifying glasses, very curious, but they always supplied magnifying glasses with the miniature editions. If anybody is interested, again, go to Google. They show you photographs of what they have on display in the castle up on the hill on the right hand side here. You see it through the deciduous trees and shrubs here. So the name again of the town, Vimperk. If anybody's interested, if anybody wants to go to Wikipedia, Google, you might find it even under the name, or I'm sure you find it under the name Vimperk or Vimperk, and even if you just put in Steinbrenner with one N, not with two N, because normally it's written with two N's, he was the most famous of all the printers in this town. Now, nowadays, in this day and age, there's one small printing plant left, and what they print is like calendars, flyers, brochures, but no Bibles or the Quran, and not in other languages. The town was famous. They exported they printed 20 different languages all over the world. Since I mentioned the 12 years of Nazi time, you might know this whole area under another name. If you're a little versed in not so long ago history, the name Sudetenland. This is the Sudetenland that we are passing through right now.
Just left Vimperk.
Yeah. American history, that's not bad.
The glass shop in the lobby of the Hilton Hotel, there they had on display, of course, also the famous Bohemian glass, Bohemian crystal. In Europe, very, very famous, just like in the States, Tiffany or Steuben glasses, or for that matter, the French Baccarat or Lalique glass, or not to forget the famous Venetian glass, which does not come from the island of Venice, but the island next to it, by the name of Murano, and some people even call it Murano glass. So Bohemian crystal, Bohemian glass in Europe, very, very famous.
Nice. Wow. Wow, it's beautiful.
Right now, people go into the forests, into the woods to collect blueberries. The blueberry bush is a very low bush on the ground. Wild-grown blueberries, not raised in a nursery or so, but the bush very low, and of course people don't bend down and pick berry by berry. They have a tool that resembles strongly a comb, a wooden comb, with far apart teeth, and so to speak they comb through the bush to collect the blueberries. The season runs sort of from now on until the end of August, and then starts, as you can imagine, with all those forests here, the wonderful mushroom season. All types of edible mushrooms like morels or bolitos, chanterelles, in particular chanterelles galore in this area. So anytime during these 2 seasons when you go to a restaurant, invariably you will find a dish on the menus during the time right now, blueberry season, and then of course comes September and everybody is eating mushrooms everywhere. Just like to an end came the asparagus season. It starts in April. Everybody is eating asparagus, not the thin green one, but the white fat one. All my friends, I don't cook them, but I'm, thank goodness, always invited at my girlfriend's houses, and they always eat 2 or 3 times a week the wonderful asparagus. In town, in Passau for instance, in different sections of town, the asparagus farmers put up, starting April, they put up little wooden sales huts and they sell every morning fresh from the field the asparagus. Usually the usual meal is steamed asparagus served with boiled potatoes, sauce hollandaise, and then you have a choice of either with a breaded piece of veal, like a Viennese schnitzel, or with a piece of fish, or 2 or 3 slices of boiled ham. So these 3 dishes, the variations, during April, May, and until the beginning of June, everybody that I know eats white asparagus, the fat white green asparagus. The whole area here is part of a national park, Šumava, the name, in the Czech Republic over here. On the German side, Bavarian Forest, we also have a national park. They practically overlap. So over here it's Šumava, the national park. Mentioned already, in winter time, lots of snow, and where we will arrive at our highest point, that little village, a real vacation village, Kubova Hut is the name. I will point out the highest point to you once we get there. Kubova Hut is a little vacation village with a downhill ski slope with several different Nordic or cross-country skiing trails, in summertime hiking trails. And Kubova Hut advertises in the local Passau paper, very, very reasonable compared to any place in Germany. The hotels and lodges you will not be able to see from journey, and here is the village Kubova Hut. From here we go down, down, down towards Passau. So the hotels and lodges on our left-hand side here in the forests. When you get to Germany, you need euros, of course, just like in Austria, like in Slovakia. And once you get to Hungary, the former currency still in use, the forint. The end of the First World War in the year 1918 by the Allied forces at the Chateau Versailles into the countries that we know nowadays, except for Czech Republic that used to be now for all the communist years known under the name Czechoslovakia. And instrumental, I don't know if I mentioned that already, in establishing Czechoslovakia was Woodrow Wilson. So the empire came to a close 1918. The